Hey everyone, some warmer weather has finally arrived. After many weeks of negative temperatures being super duper cold, we finally have 3 days now that don't even go below freezing at night. Today's high is about 48, very nice. And for the next week, we have decent days, warm out, and it gets down pretty cold at night. Perfect weather for maple syruping. It's only February. Typically, you would say that it's too early, especially being this far north. But typically here you tap maple trees in March, April. March is only a couple weeks away, so I think we're going to start. The worst that could happen is the trees don't really produce much for a couple weeks. But we'll get the system set up and we'll be set for the entire spring. A couple of maple syrup farms in the area have already started pumping the trees, and I'm going to set everything up. So we haven't made a video of this in a couple of years. I haven't done it in a couple of years. I've done this maybe 6 times in my life, and the most we ever produced was like a gallon. We're not any serious operation, but we're going to do things a little different this time. I like to use my old-fashioned manual crank drill. I can't find it. I don't know where it is. It's a beautiful Craftsman drill that's stainless steel with these nice cherry wood handles. I have no idea where it went. I'm sure I'll stumble across it someday, but we'll have to use the electric drill today since I can't find it. With the warmer weather, I've also been using evergreen. Evergreen doesn't produce as much heat. It also doesn't burn as long. This stove with hardwoods can go over a day without touching it. Well, it completely stalled out on me overnight with evergreen. That's why people don't like using it. It's not because of the myth that it creates chimney fires. It's just not very great for a fire. But because it's warmer out, might as well get rid of some of our junky wood. So I got these covers. We're going to drill a hole in the top of each one so we can send a hose through. The last time I made a video like this, we used these teeny little hoses with these taps into the tree. We're not going to use that this time because those taps seem to break a lot. This time we actually have beautiful metal taps that are antique. I found a whole bucket of them for like 20 bucks at a estate sale recently. So we got these larger hoses. We absolutely don't need a hose that large, but it fits over the tap nicely. The taps I bought are meant for you to hang a bucket on them. These aren't maple sugar buckets, so I might smash the plastic handle off it and kink it so it sits on it nicely. Bought a second one just in case. Got some hose clamps just in case. When we actually get out to the tree, we'll see how we actually want to do it. So we're going to wait on the drilling until we're actually out in the woods because I don't know exactly where the placement of the hole would be best yet. Maybe we'll just make a hole that the spigot can drip into. We'll try that with a few. I bought 5 buckets here. I can go out and buy as many more as I might need. We'll see. I'm happy to have found a massive bucket worth of them. But we're going to put everything we might need into one of the buckets now. And we're going to go off into the woods. I'll also bring my angle cutters out there to cut the hoses out in the woods. And I think that's really all we need. Oh, we need a hammer. And a screwdriver just in case we need the hose clamps. I don't think we need them though. Those are good to have around too, even if I don't need them. The snow is really melting fast. Look, we can even start to see the grass. This is my firewood trail where I go out there with wagons to bring in all these logs, split them, burn them. But this is what I got at a yard sale. A whole bunch of these taps. Some of them are in great shape, some are rusty, doesn't really matter. These are the tiny little lines we used the last time we were tapping trees on. These are buckets that are actually made for sugar tapping, or maybe they're not. Someone may have just made this hole, but this is how they're supposed to be set up right here. See how that is supposed to hold on to the tree like that, and then there's a cover that goes over it. Yeah, I think that these buckets, when they were in use, maybe had a different kind of tap, because you're supposed to be able to get the bucket off and dump it into a bigger container. But for the life of me, I can't get these things apart. I've tried prying. They just don't want to come apart right now. But I'd rather use the plastic ones because when I'm out of town, they're a lot bigger. Okay, we're definitely tapping this tree. I had the most success with this tree last time, despite it being one of the smaller ones we tapped. This is where the tap was 3 years ago. It actually healed itself in the first couple months of spring, but you can still see that scar it made. It doesn't really hurt the tree though. Don't tap near that place again. So you want to be in one of these little ridges of the tree. The rule is maybe 8 inches over, 8 inches up. This is where we're going to tap it today, right there. All right, you want to put the drill at a little bit of an angle so it can trickle out. All right, we made a nice hole, about 1.5 inches deep. Take the tap. Nice and snug, but not too snug. You want to be able to have a spot to pry it back out in the spring. That seems pretty good. I don't think that the bucket can pull that out. Maybe we can bend it without having to remove the handle. Once it has a little bit of fluid in there, it won't do this, but I'm afraid it's going to blow off the tree. You know what? We're going to try it just like that. Get a cover. Want to drill a hole right about there. Change out the drill bit. Nice hole. I think I want to use a piece of hose to direct it. Just a really small spout, maybe 5 inches. Look at that, it's even got a natural curve to it. Nice. We got rain coming tomorrow. This will keep the rain out. Rain won't hurt it. You'll just have to boil more of it. So with a maple tree, if we collect 40 gallons, we'll get 1 gallon just about maple syrup. You got to boil down 40 gallons to get 1 concentrated gallon of syrup. That's the rule. You can do it a little thinner. You can do it a little thicker. If you make it too thick, it'll crystallize into like a candy or just sugar. But unless you burn it, it's hard to wreck it. If you overcook it, it becomes too thick, just add water, stir it, and you're good to go. You can reverse it as long as you don't burn it. I think this will be a good setup, honestly, what we just did. This seems good. Yeah, I don't think it's going to pull out. Even if it does, we'll pound it a little tighter. So like I said, it is a bit early in the year, and even if this doesn't start dripping today, it'll probably start dripping in the next coming weeks. So we should be good. I think this right here is also us tapping it again on a different occasion, but we're a good distance away from it. Only time will tell if this is actually gonna be good. We might even have to wait until another month to make this video. But I knew this was a good tree in the past. I've used it a few times. Now let's go off into the woods and find a few more. I don't have many maple trees, but we'll see what we can find. Like that maple tree I'd say is a little bit too small. I'm not gonna try that one this year. What I just did seems like the best option, so I'm gonna make a whole bunch of the same thing. Then when we go off into the woods, we don't have to carry all these tools to the faraway trees that I want to give a try. There's a couple massive ones that aren't on my property, right next to the property. We're gonna go ahead and tap those. The neighbor doesn't really care if I'm on his property doing stuff, so we're gonna go ahead and try that. Yep, okay, we're just gonna drill them all at once. Nice and easy. Nice. Another reason I didn't want to do it in the middle of the woods is because of all this plastic dust. I want to be able to throw it out and not just leave it on the forest floor. I don't like seeing all this plastic here. Clean it off, deburr it. Look at this one's all wet, so that's going to make a mess right there. This bucket I'll hose out before I bring it back. Yeah, I better hose this one out too. All right, let's make a bunch of those little 90-degree angles. We need 5 of them. We're only going to try tapping 5 trees today. Maybe we'll add more as we get closer to spring, but it's still winter. I guarantee you we're going to get more negative days, and all that's going to do, even if we are successful this week, it's just going to pause everything. It won't damage anything. It won't damage the tree. It won't damage our parts. It'll just pause everything. All right, so we got this massive one here. Got a big canopy. This one right here has got a decent canopy, also very big. Those are slightly off the property line. That's the corner of the property actually right there. I think we're gonna tap this tiny one here because, I don't know, in my experience, some of the smaller ones produce better, and I think it's because the older ones might not be growing as fast anymore. I don't know. But we're gonna give that big one a try there. We're also gonna give this smaller one here a try. It's best if you can find one with a large branch. Can you tap it right below the branch? But in the woods, that's hard to find. I don't think we have many trees like that. That one's got a bigger branch, but you also don't want to choose a tree that looks sick or rotting like that one. But when I get closer to it, maybe we'll put a third one there. I don't know about this one. Sometimes it's good to put one right below a joint like that, but I also see a little bit of rot. Doesn't look like the healthiest tree. So I think we're gonna go to the one right behind it. That one right there looks very big. Okay, we'll definitely try it. This is my last bucket, so everything got to go in my pockets. I like this side of it. We'll give this a try. Some trees just don't produce sap. The last time I made a video, I tapped about 5 trees. Only one of them gave substantial sap. And it was enough sap, this was overflowing every single night. It was that first tree. But again, it might be too early in the year at my elevation for this. Oh my gosh, this is the best one yet. It's already dripping. Watch, you'll see it dripping right down the tube in a minute. Oh, wow. And if you get a good tree like this that wants to give you sap, you can tap it like 3 or 4 times at once. Just make sure your spigots are maybe a good foot or so apart. I got good hopes for this tree. There's no plastic, there's just like organic stuff in the bucket. But you can filter everything before if you care about that kind of thing. I'm excited. This one's already given us sap. If any of the other ones end up not producing, I'll put more on this tree. I could tell it looked healthy from a distance. I knew I saw the sugar farmers doing this already this year. Look at that. See that little line? I hear it dripping. Who knows, we might even start boiling this week if we can get enough of this. I'm liking this tree. If those other ones don't start producing, I'll move them. And if I realize they start producing later in the year, I'll put another bucket at them. Okay, I'm getting better at this. And this one's also not dripping off the bat, but I have high hopes for it because the one that was just really dripping, you could feel it. It was wet going into the tree. The drill bit went into it so easily. It was very moist in there. So that's why I didn't film this one, because of all the growth. But it's got a good canopy, so maybe it's healthy enough to make us some sap. But honestly, we'll check back in a couple of weeks. If none of these started producing, we'll move maybe 2 more buckets to that very active tree. That tree is so big, it's hundreds of feet away and I can see its canopy. Maybe that's why. But all I know is every time I've tried tapping this property before, I've had the best luck from that first tree, which hasn't even started yet, amazingly. Maybe we could try tapping it again in another location. These holes we're drilling in the trees heal within the first couple months. Trees produce a surplus of sap. It doesn't hurt the trees unless they're sick, but if they're already sick and can't heal that hole, and you're not really the one that started the problem. This camera is not active, but I should probably set it back up. This is the bridge. We probably still got about a foot of snow on the ground. It's melting fast. We had twice as much not less than a day ago. I think we're going to be down to almost nothing by the end of the week with these warmer temperatures. But then this weekend, we got a day that's -10. So winter's not over yet. It can snow in this area through the entire month of May. I've never tried this tree. I don't exactly have the highest hopes for it, but it does have one of those branches I described, and we don't have many maple trees here. It's possible, you can even look in the hole and you can tell if it's wet. Deeper in there, it's wet. Remember, if you drill super deep into a tree, you could still get sap out, but it can't heal in the middle. The middle of the tree is no longer alive, only the outer maybe inch or two. It looks damp in there, so we'll set it up. If nothing happens in the next couple weeks, we're gonna move it. So it's pretty easy. This syrup here, you're going to be boiling it, which sanitizes anything. So you want to try not to get grit or dust in the buckets, but if you do, it's not a big deal as long as it's not plastic. If it's wood or little pieces of natural stuff, it doesn't matter. You're going to be sanitizing it. Nothing yet, but in a couple weeks, if it's still not producing, we're going to move it to that one successful tree, which we're on our way to right now. So if you're tapping trees at home, don't be discouraged. There's all kinds of ways to tap trees. You can have the bucket on the ground with a longer hose, which we did last time. We made homemade taps that aren't even made for trees. It was successful. I would advise do not buy the plastic ones. You can't get them out of the tree usually without breaking them. Don't use aluminum ones. They can also break off in the tree. The rust on these taps is not going to hurt you. It's not going to turn your syrup a nasty color. If your syrup is a nasty color, which I have had before, the tree usually has rot in it if the tree's producing discolored syrup. What you get in these, the sap should be absolutely clear. It should only turn brown when you boil it and concentrate the sugar. Later in the year, it's going to be darker. Earlier in the year, your syrup is going to be light brown. It's completely normal. Usually tastes the same. But different trees can actually produce unique syrups. They'll all taste slightly off of each other usually. So this one, not producing yet. And based on the weather, I honestly think most of these should be producing, so maybe I'll move some of them earlier. But this one back here is a success. I would honestly put 3 of them on that one. I might end up moving these. Maybe we'll give that one a shot because it's also big and similar to that one. So even if you only have one maple tree in your yard, honestly, give it a shot. If it's healthy, it'll heal itself right back up. You can also put up multiple on one tree. The first time I ever tapped trees was with my dad when I was a kid, and he made a homemade tap out of a little metal pipe with a hole drilled through it with a nail to hold a milk jug. It worked. You just had to fill it up often. Yeah, this tree is awesome. Look at that. You can literally hear it dripping. There's a steady stream. Yeah, this tree is successful. We're probably going to move more buckets onto just this one. Or you can also have multiple taps with hoses going to one bucket if you choose to do that. But you're going to have to empty it more often. Maybe we'll put 2 buckets with 4 taps. That sounds most reasonable. Then you're even when you're carrying them through the woods. It's a lot easier to carry 2 full buckets than it is 1 because you're well balanced. So yeah, maybe we'll do that. I'm going to buy more today, more buckets. We got enough hose. We certainly have enough taps. We just need a few more buckets. And then you boil them down. Don't boil it in your house. It'll leave a sticky residue all over your walls if you boil a lot of it. Do it outside on a grill, a fire, or I use a propane burner with a 10-gallon pot. And I just keep topping it off until all my syrup's gone. And it does take all day, yes, so make sure you have probably 2 propane cylinders. So I'm going to buy a few more buckets, definitely, but I'm also going to move a few of them to better trees. I just moved one to this tree. I didn't buy another bucket. This one's running like a faucet. This one started running immediately. You see that? It's already forming in the pipe a whole bunch of sap that'll trickle down into there. This tree is our best tree of the year. So some trees might be good on one year and not good on another, but this tree is probably our best one of the year. And I wouldn't be surprised if this one here can get us 10 gallons in the next day. Wouldn't be surprised. Of course, the best tree is in the most difficult spot to get to. We have multiple dead trees we gotta walk through, gotta walk over them. Of course it is, that far away. But there's lots of trees that we could try, and I guess there's no harm in just drilling random holes, testing trees before we tap them. Since if the tree's healthy, it's gonna seal that up really quickly, and if it's not healthy, then that tree was going to die anyways. And these little holes, they heal actually quite fast. The scar, you can notice it years later, but it heals shut like a wound on yourself. Just like a lot of wounds on yourself, you can still see years later, but it heals. Yeah, this one's unbelievably dry. Nothing. I'll probably move this one. This tree used to produce 5-gallon buckets worth every single day, but nothing this year. I'll give it the benefit of the doubt for a little bit longer. Hour later, let's check this one. Nothing. Of course, not a single one that's actually on my property wants to produce. As you see, 90% of the trees here are evergreens. We don't have really any large maples. I'm sure that I have more of them that will produce. The thing is, we gotta test them all at some point this week. Just do test holes and see if anything comes out. Because in this weather, everything should be running. I don't think it's too early. All right, this is my trash can. We gotta drill a bunch more holes. I bought a bunch more buckets, more hoses, because we're gonna try tapping even more tomorrow. We're also gonna try tapping some birch trees and try making birch bark. Assuming I can find enough trees that are big enough in diameter. I got hundreds of birch trees, but almost every one is like that, too tiny to tap. Maybe I could find some deeper out there that I don't know of. You can tap black birch, white birch, yellow birch, doesn't really matter. But I've never tried it. We'll give it a try. Now I gotta drill a bunch of these. We're just drilling a single hole. If we need a separate hole, then we're just gonna go ahead and do it out in the field. So, people say drilling it in the top, I'm gonna get a lot of rainwater in. How much rainwater do you think possibly falls in a 1-inch surface area? It's almost nothing. Who cares if you have to boil off another couple tablespoons? That's kind of satisfying going through all those layers like that. Now we gotta go in between every single layer and knock all the plastic out. I want to do it in here where nothing's getting wet yet. Make sure there's no loose burrs. All set. We'll set up a bunch more in the morning. Hey everyone, it's the next day. It's only 34 degrees or 2 degrees Celsius. It's a lot colder today. We're gonna hook up some more, then everything here is gonna be paused as it gets really cold for a couple days. It's gonna be very, very cold. Now we're gonna tap this birch tree. We're gonna try making some birch syrup too. I've never tried it before. I don't have many of these trees, but we're gonna put buckets on a bunch of them and see if they run. It's a bit windy too, so I'm probably not gonna film most of today, but I'll show you everything I hook up. That's the biggest birch tree around. Every other one we're gonna try tapping is smaller. Nice. All right, now we're gonna try tapping these small ones here. Those are borderline. You want 8-inch diameter, they're about just that. You see this little one on the ground? When I cut that down, it bled like crazy for over a month. I cut it down because it was holding up a tree that was stuck. It's colder out today, so I don't expect anything to be running. We're gonna have to wait a few weeks for the weather to become perfect for this. Well, there's the pallet house, and here's a pretty big maple tree. Let's try tapping this one. We actually tapped the ones right next to the pallet house before it was there 3 years ago, and those trees didn't do very well. We're probably gonna have to wait a few weeks, and then we're gonna have to just start drilling test holes in a bunch of trees to see which ones produce. Some trees just are not great. Some of them flow like a faucet. It's hit or miss. And yesterday we found one good one. Maybe the other ones that we tapped that did nothing start. Maybe they'll do nothing. But I do feel hopeful with the birch trees. I think that's all I'm going to tap. If I'm successful, maybe I'll do more next year. All I know is a lot of people wanted me to try tapping them. Supposedly it tastes similar to root beer more than maple syrup. I know I have certain black birch in the yard. If I cut a little branch off and lick it, it actually tastes like bubble gum or maybe root beer. But anytime I've ever cut one down, they have been very leaky. So maybe that's good. So we're gonna put a bucket on this tree. If it flows well, maybe even two. I've also identified the biggest birch tree I've ever seen on my property. I didn't even know it was there. I just overlooked it because I guess I never looked for them. There's one in my yard that has almost a 3-foot diameter. Doesn't look very healthy, but I'll show you in a minute. I'm honestly seeing nothing, but we're gonna put buckets on them because it is a colder day. We gotta wait a few weeks, I feel, in my opinion. And then if nothing happens in a couple weeks, they're all getting moved to other trees. At first, I was only clicking these on just a little bit for the rain, but now I'm realizing if they get heavy, and when it gets warmer out, if the tree expands a little bit, the wood, if these fall on the ground, maybe I can prevent most of it from spilling. That's why I'm actually starting to click them all on. This one's got a good amount coming out of it already. That's awesome. How about the other side? Nothing, the other side's dry. Honestly, that's a bad sign. I'm gonna drill it again. When you're removing them, you don't want to do this. You can wreck it. If it doesn't come out easy, you just go tap, tap, put on each side. This is why I don't like plastic ones. The plastic ones are almost impossible to get out. Oh, there is actually a little bit in there. but this one's way better. Yeah, the hole on that side has barely even formed a drip. That one is dripping like crazy. That one is already starting. Let's go see if we can go put a bucket on the biggest birch in the yard. Yeah, this one's pretty massive. It's got some growth up there. It's got growth on each end, but the tops are all broken off. A bit of rot. I guess we could try one. We actually have a lot more maple trees than I realized in this area of the yard. I see a couple more substantial ones. I've got 4 left. Might as well do them all. Let's go pre-rinse them. All right, we're doing good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 7, 8 back there. You can't see it though. There's 9, 10. I think we have exactly 10 maple trees tapped, or we have 8 of them tapped. 2 of them have double buckets. We also have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 birch trees that are tapped. I think that's enough for this year. This is the most I've ever done. I usually only use like 4 or 5 buckets worth. And that will make me a couple mason jars of it usually. I don't go through it fast. This stuff has an indefinite shelf life. Who knows, maybe we can actually make gallon this year. All right, everyone. It's been 2 weeks. We're gonna steal this tank off the heater. It's about half full. We're gonna use that. Once we burn it up, I have a full tank. Then we'll go to the store, refill this one. Finally today, we're going to be boiling some maple syrup. I bought this pot, especially for this 2 years ago. You can tell it's used. I used it for making corn. Then in here, this was a free burner that came with the truck camp like 5 years ago. So yeah, I haven't been home in 2 weeks. About 4 days ago, I was wondering, why is my doorbell camera saying no service? I get home, there's a tree across the power lines. It has broken the neutral or grounding wire. So you got 2 hots going to the building. Must be grounding down the lightning bolt because everything in the building is still working. That's pretty dangerous, but I have the power company at my property right now for an emergency call. They're gonna get that set up. And I got no internet until next week because they're not gonna come out until next week. So we're gonna make maple syrup today though. The stream's running nice. 2 weeks ago we had 2 feet of snow. Haven't been home in 2 weeks, haven't checked any of my buckets yet. Look at this. This is the seasonal stream. That's what you call a drainage ditch. It's only because it's been rainy out. It's been warm. We lost almost all of the snow except the dark corners of the yard. So our first tree here, oh, we got sap coming out of it. Ooh. That's about a quarter full. This tree right here is my old reliable. Even though the tube fell, it's still dripping in the hole and it is nearly full. And there's our refill. All right, how about this one? Ooh, it's dripping and it's heavy. This is the birch. Absolutely nothing. It's dry despite the tube falling off. I had said earlier in the video that the birch, I think we have to wait until much warmer weather. Today's 60 degrees or 15 Celsius, dripping, half full. Our boil pot is only 5 gallons, so we're gonna be having to do multiple boils. We have more than anticipated. This one, almost full. I can barely budge it, it's so heavy. Next one, about half full. Deer poop everywhere around the buckets. There's a lot more than normal. I've never seen so much deer poop on my trails. Can they smell the sugar in this? I've never had animals mess with it, but... Oh. Almost full. Oh my God, just about ready to overflow. Based on what I'm seeing, I bet the tree over here that's slightly off the property line is gonna be overflowing. So we already have a lot. The only problem is boiling it. I don't have a big boiler or any sort of operation like that running. Oh, I can't believe it's not overflowing. The other tree actually did better. What about this one? Both of these buckets are nearly full and still slowly dripping after 2 weeks. Even the tree we pulled out of is all soaked. It would have started running. Yeah, we didn't wait long enough. Now that the ground's thawing, the roots, the trees are starting to drink. I'm only showing you a fraction of it. And there's more trees down. We must have had a storm when I was gone. Okay, over to the Birch part of the yard. Yeah, this stream didn't flood much. I don't see any evidence of it. But this snow melted fast. Okay. This one is running. Very minimal. We're not going to try birch sap yet. Okay, this birch is running. The hose fell off. It's okay. It's got a little bit in it. Rainwater getting through that hole is so minimal. What we have in there is definitely this dripping in. We'll fix the tube. It got warm. The tubes got flexible. Some of those are probably going to need hose clamps. Got a slight little blockage there on the dam intake. Water's crystal clear. This is spring water. You walk up the mountain about 5-10 minutes, stream disappears. Okay, this one, this big one. Oh, it's wet. It's running a little bit, so all I really want to do is taste it. My goal as far as birch, since I've never done it before, I just want to produce maybe 1 mason jar worth of its syrup, since I've never had it. Okay, 1 more birch tree. Then we're gonna go grab a couple maple buckets. Okay, this one's not running either. So this is the first one we're opening. That looks fine. If it gets slightly foggy, that means that it could be starting to go bad. We just got a spider friend out of there. He was still alive. Now this is gonna be boiled for any contaminants you might be worried about. You see the little bit of silt? We're just not gonna pour down that far. And if you wanted, you could use what's called cheesecloth. You could pour it through it. It's a food grade filter. So we're gonna pour it into the pot. Gonna start boiling. If a couple little specks get in there, if it bothers you, it bothers you. It doesn't bother me. You see the majority of the contaminants is at the bottom. Now we're gonna stop pouring it. That little bit right there, oh well. We have such a surplus of it. I could fill this pot here probably 5 times today with what I've collected. And it's gonna take anywhere from 5 to 8 hours to boil 1 pot, but I'm gonna keep adding it until the evening. Once the evening hits, we'll let it boil down, fill up a couple mason jars, and we'll start again in the morning because I'm not gonna let it go while I'm sleeping, even though it takes such a long time. Okay, we're gonna go rinse that out with the garden hose, put it back up on the tree. We're gonna start this boil. I forgot about the one here that's on a weird angle. Ooh, almost full. Just because it's close to the house, we're gonna empty this one. Okay, same situation, but it hasn't become foggy. This one does not have a bug in it. It's got a little bit of debris at the bottom. Try to not let most of that get in here. And we're gonna stop it right there. This debris here, I'm actually gonna start saving the sap, and it's getting warmer. We're gonna put this bird bath out here, and we're gonna see if anything will actually wanna drink this sap. If anything can tell that it's different than water, I'll maybe put this little bird bath in front of a trail camera, see if anything will drink this special water. All right, we're all hooked up. Turn the gas on. We're gonna turn this on high, but it's easier to light it when it's not on high. Let's see, how do we go in there? There we go. Now we're gonna turn it up all the way. Wow, that thing is like a jet engine when it goes under. This is a very, very powerful burner. You can feel the heat all the way from over here. Hopefully it boils it nice and fast. We have multiple other tanks of these to keep feeding on it, and now that we got it going, I gotta take a break. I got a lot of things to catch up with now that the yard's melting out, and we'll just keep checking this throughout the day. The power company wants me to get the chainsaw out so they don't have to come back, because the guy who's here doesn't have a chainsaw, so while the power is shut off, I'm gonna cut it up. I can do it in like a minute. It's a small tree. We'll be back to this in a couple hours. All right, everyone, it's been about an hour. We haven't really boiled down yet. It just smells like regular water boiling. So I got some trees cut up, and turns out I'm gonna need one new pole on the driveway, so they're gonna get the power back on today, but they'll be back tomorrow, or they might even wait because the driveway can't even hold their trucks. It's leaving deep ruts. Yeah, one of the telephone poles broke off a few feet underground from the tree, so that's gonna be all right. I'm not responsible for any of the power until it enters the building. This stuff does take a while to boil down. I'm starting to smell it though. It's starting to smell good. I put some objects around it to stop the wind that's blowing through the flames. I put this stabilizer here, a couple metal buckets, and it worked. When there was wind blowing through the burner, I could smell gas because it wasn't burning completely. But now that I stopped the breeze going through under there, it's now burning better. We're on the second tank, and I'm gonna top this off a little bit. Now this one has a bunch of stuff that's in between buoyancy, so can't really pour it in there. We have a dead spider. We also have Mr. Spider here who's alive. Rescue him, get this dead one out of there. And now I don't actually have cheesecloth, which I mentioned. I'll have to buy some. Right here is what I'm gonna use right now. That is a piece of gutter guard. Gutter guard, in my opinion, is a horrible product for what it's meant for, but I use it as pond filters. Hopefully this works, at least filtering out some of the pieces. And then, like before, the bulk of it is still at the bottom. And that bulk of it is not going in here. That's gonna go in a bowl for the wild animals, and then I'm gonna rinse it out and put it back on the tree. I am so mad. At least it's still very hot. Actually, it's not. And I'm very mad about this. Just went to the store, somehow it blew out, and I don't know how much gas I just wasted. Maybe I just had it too low where it kept blowing out. But at this point, when it's on very, very high, I feel like I'm wasting more heat, but I guess we'll let it go like this for a while. The other day on Craigslist, I saw this awesome thing for maple syrup. It's this large metal tray, and it even has a valve where you can pour it into jars when it's done boiling. It's this big thing. You put cinder blocks. You make a cinder block wall, basically. Put this big thing on top of it, start a fire, and that's what boils it. That thing is so cool. It's 400 bucks on Craigslist. I can't buy it at the moment. But we're gonna do this for a while, but we have way more sap I've collected than I expected. I've done this maybe 6 other years, but only a couple buckets at a time. This time we have way more than I anticipated. All right, we just gotta wait for this to burn a little bit and get a lot hotter. I lit the top of the pile that hasn't even got down into the pit yet. All right, everyone, so I've said you shouldn't boil this in the house because the vapor of it will actually make everything sticky. Well, we're not boiling it down. We're just getting it to a boil. Then we're going to let it cool because I want to taste it. Taste it without being reduced at all. This is maple, and I emptied those couple buckets. There was less than I estimated in there. This is literally all of the birch sap. We just got it to a boil. You saw it boiling. And we're gonna now shut that burner off. Let that cool for a while. We're gonna taste it. People have told me it's absolutely delicious. Just in that form. I'll give it a taste, then I'll put it back on there, boil it further into an actual syrup. Maybe we'll get a little lick, at least a taste out of it. Now this one here, I just want to taste the water, then I'm going to boil it halfway and tell you guys what it tastes like half boiled. See if it's a yummy sweet drink. I know the one outside that's half boiled sure is awesome. I just topped off the other one again. We'll let that boil down. When I put the buckets back out, I hose out the inside of the bucket and put it back. Like I mentioned, if it becomes foggy, it's kind of ruined. What causes the fogginess is when the warm days, but then it doesn't get cold at night. The cold at night kind of kills algae and stuff growing in it. But we have not found a single one that's foggy yet, and thankfully next week it starts getting cold. We actually have 2 days that are below freezing for the high temperature. But overall, the forecast is perfect, pretty much, for syrup making the next couple weeks. Alright, everyone. These are now cooling. That one's almost cold enough to drink. This one's still kind of hot. So those aren't boiled down at all. They're just boiled to get rid of bacteria. I want to taste them. I mentioned that the power lines, and it must have caused an electrical surge because it suddenly... My favorite little oven doesn't work. I never start the big oven, especially when it's hot out. I love this pizza oven for cooking basically anything. It cooks really slow, but I don't mind. I kind of like it. I'm praying it's just a fuse. I'm going to take this thing apart and hopefully I find a blown fuse in it somewhere because I love this thing. This thing's really old too. But thankfully I had this little toaster oven here I bought for $5 on Walmart's discount shelf a couple years back because that's what's going to make my apple sausages tonight. I'll show you what I'm making. Yeah, this right here. I've never had it before, but I did have a different apple one at one point. I didn't like the big chunks in the middle of it. I'm hoping it's just apple flavored. Alright everyone, now the food's cooling, and these are just slightly warm. And this one got room temperature. Let's give them a taste. I honestly love Birch beer soda, and let's see if this tastes anything like it. I don't taste a thing. It's going back on the stove for a while. Alright, it's hot again. So that we're going to let boil down completely into a syrup. And this one we're going to boil about halfway. Now, it's not going to make, like I was describing, a sticky residue just doing a teeny little bit like this. But if I had that massive pot in here and I was boiling down dozens of gallons a day, you're going to notice nasty residue all over your kitchen. I got a lot of counter space now, but I am sure sad about this thing. I'm going to try to fix it before I scrap it. Well, I guess I hit the wrong button. I also gave this one a try. So that one, I don't even taste it like sugar water. This one does indeed taste like sugar water from the tree. You don't have to boil it at all. Now we're going to see halfway through. Alright everyone. This has boiled down nicely. The little bit of crud you see in there that's burnt is the debris from the bucket. And look what we got. We boiled it down. We got a little taste. Alright, so put my finger in there. Alright, so put my finger in there. Pretty good, but it takes a lot of effort. It seems like these trees aren't as easy going. Maybe that'll change in a few weeks when they start growing and sucking up. I feel like they're behind the maple trees. Well, I will give an update video maybe in a few weeks if things improve. We got a little bit. It's delicious. You ever try Birch soda or Birch beer seltzer? Pretty good. This is what this tastes like. But compared to maple syrup, it is bland, honestly. I probably won't do this again. I just wanted to taste it. Alright, we're done with this. This is boiled down about half where the steam now smells like candy. Let that cool. We'll give that a try just to see if it's worthwhile drinking it half-boiled or not. But it tasted like sugar water regularly. We're now preheating the oven because I'm seasoning some cast iron. And while I'm at it, I'm also gonna season this really rusty one that you may have seen in the last truck camp video. Season that while I'm at it. Just feels like a waste of electricity doing just one, so might as well do this one that's in deep need. Already starting to look a little better. The rest of that rustiness will go away. We actually have to coat this and cook it a couple of times to make it look perfect. Look at all that rust we just got off. It's getting a little cleaner. We're gonna bake that, then we're gonna put it in a couple more rounds. There we go. So when you're seasoning cast iron, you just rub a thin layer. You can do multiple layers. It's better for if you do a couple layers. But the first layer, you're basically scrubbing off the surface rust, cleaning it, now encapsulating it. Then we'll do another coat over that. Then it'll be ready for cooking. This one right here I use all the time for bacon and stuff. And it's fine. It's actually got a really thick seasoning because when you make like something like bacon in it, you wipe out the grease, but you do not wash it, and it just slowly builds nicer and nicer. You're using corn oil today. You can use basically any cooking oil. Usually I use olive oil. The cover doesn't need a cleaning. And sometimes I'm lazy. If I have anything I'm cooking in a pot, pasta, soup, if it's too hot for me, I'll just soak it in some cold tap water. It helps it cool down nicely. And another tip for cast iron, after you wash it off, get it nice, soak it in boiling water, then take it out, and it'll evaporate. It'll be completely dry to the touch in seconds, especially if you wipe it. It's going to be nice and dry. It's got to be dry before you oil it. All right, now it's drinking time. It's amazing. I boiled it maybe a little more than half. It tastes so good. It's like the sweetest tea. That is so good. To put it into perspective, if I boiled this down to syrup, I'd probably only get about 1 or 2 tablespoons. So it's really not that much sugar. It's no more sugar, probably less sugar than your average cup of tea. That is so good. This is boiling way better than I thought. We had it full, halfway, full, halfway, full. I just keep topping it off. We've been going 7 hours, and I have now condensed probably 10 gallons down to about 2.5. Well, we're gonna throw more in because we're doing way better than I thought. We're getting pretty concentrated at the moment. Oh, what the? I left this right here. Oh no. Look at that. A bunch of little mites jumped in it because I left it open right here. Oh, what attracted these stupid things? Oh no. Come on. Good thing I caught that. I was actually able to skim them off with my bare hand. Okay, let's add that in. Top it off again. Right up to the top, and this is all we're gonna do tonight. Then the bottom little bit of grit will be, get that little bug out of there. The bottom little bit of grit will go in another bowl in front of a trail camera. Oh. Yeah, the rest of that. All right, that's it for the night. Oh wow, this burned down really nice. Hopefully these logs can eventually go away. We don't have a lot of kindling left. Well, the smoke went away. I poked at it a little bit and got it to flare up again. Okay, that's set up. I just put a memory card in the camera because this was currently out of service. We will see. Will deer drink that? Will something drink it? Since it tastes like sugar water, we will find out. If we do find out, I'll probably post a separate video unless this happens in the next couple days while I'm still recording. We're starting to boil again good. So here's my cans. This one was completely full. It's now nearly empty. This is the first one completely empty. We'll fill it tomorrow. This one's again completely full. This one's almost empty. I just stole it off my grill. I want to get it empty so I can refill it tomorrow. We're going to refill these 3 tomorrow while this one starts off. So here's the thing about these Blue Rhino tanks. You go to the store, in my area, they're $68 to buy one full from them. $28 to exchange if you bring a tank. It doesn't have to be their tank. So if you find a piece of junk, rusted out one in the middle of the woods, free on the side of the road, absolutely take it, even if you think it's unsafe to hold gas. Trade it in, they'll take it. And they'll give you a brand new tank and you don't have to pay that $68. Then, once you have beautiful new tanks like this, if you get an old one, maybe if you want to trade it in again, go ahead. But I have a guy that refills these for only 13 bucks a piece. Okay, rinsed out, returned to the tree. So we emptied out half of them today. Tomorrow morning we'll start boiling more. Tomorrow's gonna be a bigger day because these ones, the ones on the off-property tree, are completely full. So we'll have a little bit more tomorrow. These are just about done. They've been in there 2 hours. Made the house slightly smoky, but they came out beautiful looking. Look at that. When you're done with your chainsaw, to keep it in top condition, you want to be filing the blade like this, see? With a little bit of pressure. I do each blade 3 times every time I'm done with it. Go around it. I used to replace blades like crazy, and it's because of simple mistakes like hitting the ground. Now I don't do that anymore. I never hit the ground anymore. I'm very careful. I'll cut a log halfway through, roll it, continue my cut. So this thing stays very sharp. You can actually keep filing it until you get to that little line right there. And a blade will last you years. This one blade is original. I've had this thing 3 years and barely used it down. And I've ran this thing a whole ton, and best chainsaw ever. It starts first pull even in the freezing winter. Everything in the fire pit burned down really, really nicely. We just got one more piece sticking out that we gotta shove in there in a little while. Okay, we're boiling good now. That's really sweet. It's almost time to get the mason jars out. So this tank here, I noticed it was getting quiet. You shake it a little bit, the flame gets bigger. The tank is actually starting to freeze. See that? It's almost empty. So actually, it's probably maybe got a quarter left in it. I might get a pan of water. Doesn't even have to be hot water. Just soak it in water. It'll prevent it from freezing now that the temperatures are dropping outside. So, I didn't realize I had this. I actually did have some cheesecloth in the house. So, we will use this tomorrow when we're straining out our new batch tomorrow. Now, the contaminants in there, I really don't care about it. Even food you buy at the store allows for a certain contaminants, but the little bit of silt in there is mostly tree debris. It could be sifted out. We're gonna do that tomorrow. We're gonna run it through this before boiling it. I could also boil it on the way out, although it might be kind of thick in it. It might actually be a real big pain in the butt, so we're just gonna start fresh tomorrow. This is actually hot water. So it's as simple as this. It'll prevent it from freezing. Maybe I put a little too much water. That's okay. Okay, the tree falling down onto the power line. I just came in this room and I noticed we got a little orange light on. You go to reset it. Dead. It fried this GFCI. You know, I keep thinking that leaf is a tree frog. The spring peepers are already out. I hear a couple of them. All right, now when it really starts sudsing up like this, it means you're done, typically. You're gonna let that boil down. We're gonna shut this off. Gotta get some sleep. It's almost 2 in the morning now. Gonna shut this down. And we will do more in the morning. So we're gonna let this cool down slightly. And while it's still kind of hot, we wanna put it in the mason jars. See how it looks a bit liquidy? When it cools down, it won't be that liquidy. It's just really hot. When you put the cold spoon in there, and once it starts to solidify on the spoon in the cold weather, give it a minute to cool down. It's gonna start. Just watch the back of the spoon when it gets cold. Wait a second. Okay. You can see it's getting sticky now that it has got cold. And the rest will do that too once it cools down. Alright, it went in there scalding hot, so all that effort, we boiled for over 11 hours and we produced 2 1/3 jar. This jar that's not full we will use first. This stuff's like honey. Even if it isn't completely sealed, it'll crystallize, but it won't go bad. These are scalding hot. You can't even pick them up. When they cool down, it'll suck that bubble in, so you know it has a little bit of a vacuum. As it cools down, it will thicken up a bit. It's all preference. You can boil it more, you can boil it less. It all depends. Do you want it to flow like molasses, or do you want it to be a little runny? It's up to you. Tomorrow we'll do another batch. It's crystallizing into sugar, especially the bottom of it because it's touching the cold ground. Wait and see what it looks like when it completely cools. This is a better example than the spoon because this is on a cold surface. The pot has cooled down, and see how thick it became. It's barely moving. It's about 50 degrees or 10 degrees Celsius out here right now. Now it's time to go in the house and just lick out the drum, clean it, get ready for morning. Yep, I brought it in the house, and you can literally just sit in front of the TV. Good morning, everyone. The bubbles have sucked down, meaning they're sealed under a slight vacuum. Now, if we look at the product, it's thickened up a bit. And then if we look under here, see that on the bottom? That's silt. That's all the organic material boiling all day long, no matter what was in there, whether it be a spider, tree debris. It grinds it down to this very, very fine powder. But that's at the bottom, so you won't be using that. It'll always filter itself out. We're outside now. We're trying this anyway. We got extreme winds, so I'm going to try having this thing not blow out. We filtered it. I don't know if this did much. Those holes are bigger than I remembered it being on cheesecloth. So we're going to remove these right here. And in the future, when I add it, I think I'm going to put the cheesecloth over a bucket, pour it, then put it over in there. If it seems like it worked, let's take a look. Yeah, that didn't really do much of anything. I still see little bits in there. But at least we don't see the mites. When I opened that bucket there, went away for 5 minutes, there was a bunch of mites that just jumped in. They must be all over the ground. All right, I just switched it out to the last full tank. The other full tank went most of yesterday, and the one from my grill appears it was already dead. So we're gonna go to the store, refill 3 of them. We'll be back in a little bit. This hasn't even started boiling yet. All right, everyone, I didn't show as much today because I showed you basically everything we're doing yesterday. So today we condensed a lot more. Today we started at 10 in the morning. It's now 8 in the evening. We condensed, that's about 20 gallons, maybe a little more. Just walked around to all the trees. The trees produce this in just the past 6 hours. We're gonna add that to the batch once there's room, and that'll be it for the day. Then we'll put that into some jars come midnight, or I think maybe 2 in the morning. We should wrap it up. So these tanks, they go about 8 hours. So now we have days worth of them here. We blew through them fast the other day because they were mostly almost empty. But we're doing really, really good here. I expect this to make about half a gallon by the time we're done tonight. Fill up quite a few mason jars. I'll show everything in the morning. All right, we're walking out in the woods now. Today I finally got the internet turned back on, which was nice. And when the guy was here replacing the wires between the utility poles, he came in the house and he was like, you know, you're paying for a gig speed internet, but your modem's only capable of 400 megabytes. And he told me to contact my internet provider, and they just refunded me almost all of my internet bills for the past year because I was paying for something I didn't even have. So that worked out nice. We're out in the woods now. This tree is producing more than any other tree. I know that because I just went around to every tree collecting that bucket you just saw. This tree accounted for like half of it. This is the best tree now, and this tree wasn't even producing when we first tapped it. Well, I came out here with a hammer because I gotta reinstall the tap. It was kind of coming out, but this is a good one. I'm wondering, it's probably because the roots are right next to this puddle. this little trickling stream, it's sucking up a lot of this. So maybe we'll try to tap maybe this one. That's borderline big enough. Next season, we'll try to tap more of them that are right on the streams because they seem to produce a lot more sap. I got all these taps used. This one has been slightly deformed. That's probably why it's falling out of the tree. It's still not as tight as I would like it to be, but hopefully it doesn't fall off the tree. I've had 0 buckets fall off the tree yet. If you're tapping yourself, especially with white buckets, you're gonna notice some of the trees, the sap is clear. Some of the trees, it looks like pee. Well, it's because different trees are different periods along. What I mean by that is you get darker syrup later in the season. You get almost clear syrup early in the season. Well, this tree here, I don't know why. This was one of the last ones to start producing. Well, it has darker syrup for whatever reason. It all depends on whatever tree it is. Some have dark syrup, some have light syrup. And as you saw, what's in my jars, my property is producing pretty dark syrup. But it's delicious. Doesn't make a difference. And as far as the camera here, nothing has touched it yet. If I get footage of something drinking from it, probably a deer walking by is going to just drink the whole thing up. Whether it's because it's sugar water or it just sees a bowl, I'll post it whenever it happens. I'm sure something's eventually going to drink that. Now it's dinner time. And my favorite seasonings are, this right here is a bit spicy, not my favorite. This is actually my absolute favorite for steak seasoning. And this is awesome for burgers, and I also sometimes put it on my steaks. This was good last night, so I'm making again a little bit of maple tea. And that's going to be a delicious dinner there. And for dessert, got some longans right here. Sometimes I like putting a pinch of vanilla in my milk. I think it tastes really good. I actually bought this and never opened it. Well, I'm going to try some of my own. Look at this. Pour some maple in there. Now that's some light maple syrup. Mix it. You're not really going to notice a color difference. I bet this is going to be so good. That is amazing. It kind of tastes like caramel. I love this. All right, now I'm going to try the milk with a whole bunch of the maple extract. Way, way stronger. I think I put too much. I can taste the alcohol in it. I did the spoon check. It looks like we're just about done. I'm waiting for it to thicken up a little more. So that's just about what you get. I'm guessing that's going to be 3 small jars when it's done. And that came from nearly 25 gallons or 100 liters of sap. That's what you get in syrup. So we're going to use these slightly smaller jars today. That is satisfying to watch. Just look at it bubbling up in the middle. It's just an endless cycle. That looks so good. It's getting thicker. At this stage, you really have to watch it because you can easily, if that's on too high, that'll climb up and right out and you'll waste it all. But now we just about snuffed it out. We might be done now. Look at it slowly calming back down to the bottom. If you overcook it, it'll start to become thick like caramel. Or if you cook it enough and get rid of all the liquid, it'll start to turn to a sugar, but you can burn it at this point, so be careful. This stage is always kind of fun. Turn it off a little bit. It's just fun to watch it. Look at that. Look how sudsy it's getting. Looks so delicious. It's really satisfying. Turn it down, but we don't want to shut it off yet. Watch as it goes down. Just watch the whole pot just suddenly turn black as it settles down. I love watching that. Look at that. Look at it go. Delicious. And that is what we got after 14 hours of boiling. We got 4 full jars and another third. And look how thick that is coming out of there. Oh, we're definitely going to sit in front of the TV and lick this out again. So, here we go. Wow, these are hot enough to burn you just for the couple seconds you got to touch them to tighten the lids. Now, just like yesterday, as they cool, when they cool, that bubble will suck down on them all. It won't suck down on this one. There's too much air. But these ones will. Now it's time to date them. Look at that. That's so delicious. The stuff at the bottom is extremely thick. Basically like a caramel. Look at that. So thick. Nice. So today's consistency was a little thicker than yesterday's. And it's good. Remember, typically maple syrup is thinner than pancake syrup. Wow, look at the consistency now. It gets thicker and thicker as it cools. Look at that, it's not even gonna drip. There we go, it's so thick. Good morning, everyone. It's the next day, and look at this. All the caps pressed down means they're sealed, except for the little one. It's not able to seal in that way. Now look, have some good, thick quality syrup. And we also have these ones which are more watery. This right here is typical maple syrup. It's supposed to be more watery, but these ones I wanted to make it a little thicker. Typically is not this thick if you buy it in the store. Well, it's time to make a couple of these now. Well, we chose a perfect couple of days to do our boil because today we're waking up to a coating of snow. And it looks like a squirrel tracks even came over here. Maybe they were licking the sugar that when it slightly over boiled onto the stove. Something came over here, up to it, and left. The snow does look pretty. Both of those days boiling, it was about 65 degrees outside. Now, today, waking up to the snow. Today's about to be 54 degrees for the high. So this is going to melt right away. But then we have a pause in the forecast. We actually have a night coming up that's going to be 9 degrees. Pretty cold for this time of year, but it can still snow here through the entire month of May. In fact, we have a snowstorm coming at some point next week. It says we're going to get 5 inches of snow but whether that's going to happen or not, this time of year, it kind of is easier for it to snow at night. Even though we have 1 day in the forecast now, it was showing 2 days when I checked the forecast a couple days ago. That doesn't get above freezing. Still, this time of year, the sun angle is now strong enough. It can't really stick or snow during the day, but nighttime it can. And these buckets, we're going to wait probably a week. Then we'll start a whole nother boil. Everything sure does look beautiful today. The snow in the trees. Our butt birdhouse. Hopefully something lives in it this summer. I accidentally bought these and I can barely pick them up without them breaking. Gluten-free waffles. They don't hold together very well. And the texture is always a little strange. But it's okay. Alright, we're going to give these a taste try. So we're opening up our more liquidy syrup from batch 1. Pour some on there. Look at that, looks delicious. So, I'm gonna open up batch 2. Ultra thick stuff. Look at that. Oh, look at that. It's so thick. It's gonna be delicious. Gotta wipe that off and lick my finger. All right, everyone, it's time for a taste test. Well, there's absolutely no difference in taste. And actually, the one that's thinner is probably more preferred because it soaks into your food nicely. The other one is so thick, it just sits on top of the waffle and can't really moisturize it. Thanks for watching, everyone, and have a great day. Alright, if anyone has questions about maple syrup, feel free to ask in the comments. When I post a video, I usually will keep reading the comments, answering the comments for at least one day after I post it. If you have a question, I'll try to answer it. If I don't know how to answer it, or if I like your comment, I'll give it a heart. I heart all my comments so you know that I'm looking at them all. And I wanted to make a long video showing the entire process, things that can go wrong, common mistakes, so you don't make them yourself. I hope this video was interesting, and I have shorter videos of making syrup in the past if you're interested in that. I actually haven't done it in about 3 years. This is the 3rd time doing it myself, 6th time in my life helping someone do it. And you can do anything. You can use just a piece of tube. You don't even need the connector. You can just stick it into a tree and have the bucket on the ground. There's all kinds of ways you can tap trees with just scrap laying around your property.